Uh, Hello everyone, my name is Vladimir Kara-Murza and this is a vlog mostly about Russia. So in this video I would like to start maybe with going to be a series of videos about a really interesting topic which is kind of partly interesting for me. I think it's interesting itself. This is about Russian liberal political, of course, opposition. Which are in contra with the current government headed by Vladimir Putin, and it's really not as obvious topic, and I'd like to share some of my reflections, my thoughts about this. So let's get started. In this video I would like to describe it commonly, maybe in a bit of ironically way, maybe in a bit of humorous way, but I put a kind of disclaimer about the following content which I'd like to share with you. But anyway, the thing is, Russian liberal opposition, in my opinion, looks like this. So there's a media niche which can be called, let's say, fight against Putin's regime. So which is which is not so much regime seriously. I honestly, this is my honest impression. If you live in this country, if from time to time you move in other countries, also you have some information about life in other different countries, you can compare, you have your own natural everyday experience. There is not much regime in Russia in the current situation, no matter that Russian-Ukrainian military conflict is going on, it's getting colder and colder, but still it's kind of in an active phase. So it's pretty ordinary, life goes on, so there are a lot of, it's come and save out of on the streets, a lot of food and any other goods in supermarkets, especially marketplace, a lot of choices, really. Sometimes this is too much, sometimes the problem is to choose what you need. This which is going to be, I think, another good topic. So in my opinion, what's going on in Russia in this current big historical period is like, shifting historical period between the Soviet Union, which was obviously regime, I think so, to something more democratic, more liberal, and it takes some time. It takes some historical time. It's not about a year, several years. It's about several decades. So that society would transform. So some generations would change one on another by natural reasons, which is natural. And it's like, one color does not transform into another color rapidly, always, in the most cases. It has some gradients, it has some, in between phases, in between colors and all in all. So dark does not turn rapidly into white. It has some gray in between shadows. So I'm not saying that the Soviet Union was dark at all, not at all. And I'm not saying that democratic societies are fully white and like everybody's happy all the time. I don't think so. But still, it's just an example. So speaking of Russian liberal opposition, there are some leaders of this common phenomena, which I think made their business in this niche. Business means profit, right? So they monetize their media activity in forms of grants, donates from their auditories, some monetization from video services like YouTube, like the analogs and all and all. The profit is not great, I would say, but more or less paying for, let's say, middle-class European lifestyle. And I would say this is something that these people actually want to. They just want to live somewhere in Europe. After Russian-Ukrainian military conflict, they had to emigrate. They are in exile now, so they live mostly somewhere in European countries. And keep on kind of fighting against Putin's regime in this kind of decorative way. So they kind of disagree, they kind of judge and on and on and on. The thing is, since this is so, since if I am true, I can be mistaken, but this is really my opinion. If this is so, there will be regime, there will be business, right? So there will be no regime, there will be no business. So let's say tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, in expected future, really democracy in solid meaning would be established in Russia, so there will be free elections with no administrative barriers, where will be liberalization of political system and all in all. So, like, there will be no regime to fight against, right? So they will have to, let's say, join the elections, and high chance find themselves losing because they don't have actually much support through large, group of Russians, of Russian people. The liberal European ideas are not much popular in the country, I think so. So we will lose the election, and we'll have no, excuses. So because of this result, so now we have an excuse like we cannot join the election because we are like blacklisted. But if not, of course we would win, but I don't think so. Or they will be appointed on some non-elected political and government positions, and will have to face real issues. They'll have to solve real tasks, real deals to solve. They will have to take some real responsibility. And I think this is something they are not really qualified for. So something they are not prepared for. They have almost or none real experience in something real, because all of them, or at least the most of their professional activities, are just blind, just simple criticism of others who actually do something real job, some real tasks. You can, be disagree with Putin, you can hate Putin. I never voted for Putin personally, but I realize he does something real in terms of economy, in terms of foreign policy, inside policy, social issues, and all these things. And the same thing I can say about governors, about mayors, about senators, deputats in Russian terminology. They do something real. So, and if you do something real, for everybody who has such experience of doing something real in this real, not perfect world, I think would agree with me that it's never easy, it's never perfect, and it's really easy just to criticize others. All right, so some like this. So moving next, as every niche with such quite long history, and this niche has at least 20 years of history. So the 20 years, all these liberal oppositional guys claim that the regime is about to collapse, that it's going worse and worse, and it has about 20 years of history, this history of criticism. As every business niche with such not short history, it's segmentized, of course. So different leaders of Russian liberal opposition, all of them occupied different sub-niches, some segments of their auditory. So it's kind of divided, it's segmentized, like some of them specialize of economical issues, so they always like the first times over and over again that the situation in terms of economy is getting in Russia worse and worse and worse, and it's about to collapse like soon, like very soon, like the next month, like at least the next year, the next several months. And these claims has this 20 years of history, right? So the situation in the economy, it's not so bad, it's not so good. This is a different topic, but it's really far from collapse state, just believe me. It's basically more or less fine. Well, the inflation is a bit high when it should be, but it's not as high as in Turkey and Argentina, and where it's like 50%, 100%. So, oh my God, it's really crazy. Other critics are specialized in social aspects. They collect different, bad events, tragic events, catastrophes, calamities which statistically take place in any society, especially in a big society like Russia. So statistically something happens, something bad happens. There is a murder, there is a catastrophe, there is a robbery, there is a act of corruption, and all these things. And if you collect these single episodes of some bad events and put it in one news field, and there are auditors, there are readers, watchers, viewers who will read or view only this collection of bad news. So the picture they are received. Sorry. Predictably will be bad, will be critical, and this is what these leaders of Russian liberal opposition actually want. They wanted to make picture that the situation is getting worse and worse and is about to collapse and all. Other critics, some critics use more gentle, more intelligent voice. They specialize on more intelligent auditory. Some critics use rough, really rude, really aggressive tone. They use absent words. They use really impolite words about leaders of Russian politics, Putin and all. So everything, these all have their segments in this auditory, and is about to collapse, everything predictable. Okay, so that's how Russian liberal opposition is made, actually, in my opinion, with maybe some rare exceptions, including Alexei Navalny, who died in prison a couple of years ago, about whom I made a special video in this vlog. He wanted real power, he wanted to be the president, or at least the mayor of a big city like Moscow, like the capital of Russia, but he did not succeed. Speaking of Russian liberal opposition, there is just one problem in their situation. Sometimes newcomers want to join this niche. There are some becoming kind of pretending to be liberal. So when I want to join this niche and put some piece of this of auditory or this business or this sub-segment and all. And sometimes, if you are a leader of Russia, if you are such a professional critic and you specialize on some segment, sometimes you might find that another critic would like to put on your field, to put on your garden, on your backyard, and grab some of your auditory, so the goal is to grab some of your monetization, which is not good. But the thing is, these critics, these Russian leaders of Russian liberal opposition, they are actually in a state of really intense competition one with each other. So additionally to this decorative fight against Putin's regime, sometimes they really rough, really aggressive, really rude, actually fight one against each other, which is true. And if you trace Russian media's liberal segments, you will find a lot of conflicts in between Russian liberal leaders. They cannot join, they cannot unite to act as one single force. So sometimes they have really, really rough fights. Also, to be objective, to be, to be proportional. Sometimes they collaborate with each other if they find both profitable for each other. Sometimes they make some temporary alliances, temporary groups of interests. They interview one each other, they discuss, they collaborate, they make common streams, video recordings, some forums, and all these things. This takes place, but the main state of the condition is actually a rough competition one against each other, because this lifestyle is really attractive. You don't have to have like a real job. You can just critic over and over again and make some money on this and live not so stressful lifestyle. I guess that's the main reason. So I think that's all for this. I think that's the common description of Russian liberal opposition in its current states, the way I see it. I can be mistaken, but this is my opinion, made on a lot of examples, a lot of videos which I've seen, which I watched, which I discussed with my friends, whom I find really smart. And thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.